Now we're live.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's technical difficulties.
Got it first try.
We're running late. There were some issues getting this started.
Just say it.
Technical difficulty.
There were some. Thank you. Thank you.
I feel like we shouldn't have to say it twice. We should just open with, "Sorry we're late. Welcome to technical difficulties."
Yeah,
It works. It works.
it does work because I think it's. Has there been a show where it was just like, all right, and hit the button and we're good?
Not a single time yet.
Good.
In this case, my capture card seems to have crapped out. Haven't changed anything since the last stream, and it keeps skipping.
So you still working on your deck boot?
Oh, there's a few around here, but I've been trying to get out and fly more while the weather's nice, which, I mean, relatively speaking, it's only 100 out.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, only,
It's literally going down into like the low 40s, high 30s here tonight. All of my plants are going to die again, probably.
So it looks like my video's out of sync by about 10 seconds. I'm just going to turn it off. There's no point in having it.
Well, I mean, we could still see you. I mean, now it's just a hand and a dog.
A hand, a dog, and a 10-second out of sync video feed. This is special.
And I don't think anybody noticed.
Like, can you imagine what the show would be like if we had perfect production quality? Like, who would want to tune into a show called Technical Difficulties and it's just like this highly polished whatever the hell? This is cyberpunk, man. Like, we stitched this shit together from, rewiring a toaster and some scotch tape. Like, this is it.
You have tape?
Yeah.
Weird flex.
Is it flex tape?
Is it flex tape? Damn it.
I'm on a roll today.
Beat me to it.
You're on something.
Okay, so
It's not drugs.
Yeah, sure. So we were talking about this while you were doing your power cycle boot, but the past 2 weekends I've been in Florida going to weddings and stuff. But man, a lot of the interfaces that you see in airports and hotels have really they're starting to show their age in the sense that okay, remember when the kiosks were first a thing and you walk up, you punch in your confirmation number, whatever the hell, and then it just shits out your boarding passes. Well, a lot of those are going just unused and they're getting scuffed up and they look like something out of Blade Runner where it's yeah, there is technology in there, but it is just so scuffed. And I don't know, it looks really cool. I wanted to harvest it, but it's illegal or whatever. So
harvest the organs.
Yeah, it is kind of a thing of the past. I mean, the worst possible way you could show up at an airport is needing to print your boarding pass. I mean, why would you do that when you can just show a picture of it on your phone?
Ooh, good point. But then you're relying on your phone.
Yeah, and that also sucks because, if your phone decides to die, you drop it on your way in and you have no backup.
Or if you just show up and you forgot your phone or, one of a billion things. But I actually forgot my chargers on this last trip. So no charger for my phone, no charger for my laptop. And
you don't have 3 different versions of the same thing in your bag?
Well, okay. So funny you say that because I had one USB-C cable. I will not narrate your life, Jacob.
You have that narrator voice. It's soothing.
Yeah, I have the perfect voice for turn the lights down low.
Perfect voice for radio.
But no, all I had was this external power pack and one of those old USB micro USB cables. So I had to slowly charge things over the course of 10 hours every night. But I still managed to take pictures of the crying bride and groom and people
And
getting drunk
everyone
at the
else
reception.
there had an iPhone, right?
Probably.
Using a lightning cable that could just be a USB-C jack, but Apple's being difficult.
Apple being proprietary kind of shot themselves in the foot. Like they knew when Android, like when the first, remember those Droid phones where like every ringtone was just Droid and it was so obnoxious. But
I kind of like that.
they knew it was coming, and like just like USBs, like why don't they have USB ports? Why don't they have like all the shit that the rest of the world has? They can keep their lockdown operating system.
They
can
do. No, see, they do have them. See, every other manufacturer, they're just dumb. They include it in the computer, and that costs money. You have to pay like 1 penny per USB port you stick in it.
Oh my god.
Apple leaves them out, charges more for the computer, and then makes you pay for a dongle that has to hang off the side to get them back. It's brilliant.
It's so brilliant that Apple products are now like 30% of the market share, when back in the day, like the cover of every magazine was like, will this be the iPhone killer? And everyone was like, oh, is this going to be it? Is this going to be it?
But let's be real.
Still that way, though.
Let's be real, though. Apple is only
Android phones
7.
suck.
Apple is only 7.5% of the market share worldwide. So they advertise very well. They market very well. They're much smaller than anyone gives them credit for.
They're much smaller now. I think they were bigger back when,
And
like,
now, if you just take schools out of the equation, then that number plummets. But they have been smart and got themselves in the schools, which means if you grow up using OS X, then you're not likely to switch to Windows after that. You're likely to switch to Linux, but not Windows.
yeah, I see that.
Blasto, what exactly is it you're doing there? Tweezing away at some keycaps?
I am very delicately and gingerly screwing up, putting stickers on.
You said ginger.
Anyway,
so I can't help but notice that the camera's facing your hands, but not your beard.
he texted me earlier and he's like, oh, do you have a hat? And I'm like, probably. And he's like, well, you could wear it over your face to hide your non-existent beard. I'm like, well, thanks.
Wait, did I miss something? Blasto, did you lose the beard?
Yeah, he had an accident with a torch.
All right, you want to see?
Not really.
Okay, I can't tell. Yeah, like that could be a legitimate thing that might have happened. Oh, okay, you still got a little. You still got a little.
Wait, did you lose the eyebrows too?
No, I have eyebrows. I lose eyebrows.
So you can never tell when people are joking in the Cyberdeck Discord, because it's like,
you can never tell if someone's a dog either,
You don't know.
That's true. On the internet, no one knows if you're a dog.
You've blown my cover, man. But yeah, if someone in the Cyberdeck Discord was like, yeah, we just kind of put some razor blades on a frisbee and hooked it up to the super soaker to see what would happen, I would not be surprised. That's the kind of shit that they do.
I mean, that sounds kind of interesting.
Thank you, eComics. I appreciate that. He says they're just jealous of how handsome I am.
Facts.
I am not missing an eyebrow touches.
I really hope this becomes a running joke where everyone thinks you're missing. All right, but
one of these days I'll just shave one off and
do it.
Yeah.
Why not?
And then we won't even notice, and you'll get really mad.
One time, one of my childhood best friends got one of those Gillette razor kits in the mail. I guess they just sent them out to anyone who was like turning 15. And yeah, I got one too. And
Nice.
He shaved his eyebrows
I started
off.
shaving at like 12, 15. What's that?
But he
Shaved
shaved
his
his
eyebrows.
eyebrows. He shaved his eyebrows off, and his own parents didn't notice.
That's That's awesome.
Nah, they were secretly laughing every time they walked out of the room.
No, they really didn't notice. They were kind of, a little on the, slow side. But yeah,
I knew a dude who he couldn't grow hair. Like he was, I don't know what the syndrome or the
Alopecia.
That's what it is. But this was at military school. So like, while every male was ordered like you will shave every single morning, like when they went to him, they're like, well, you're gonna do it anyway because everyone else has to. So he was like, all right, well, I guess if I have to just take a razor with no blade in it and then just run it over the shaving cream on my face, I guess I'll do that. But
that is how you create camaraderie, teamwork.
It really is. Ooh, and then I don't know. That's something else that's really weird about now that we're living in this dystopian future is like how much tech goes into personal grooming products. Like back in the day, back when
You
men
mean
were
like
men.
having a toothbrush that is connected to the internet?
Yeah, why does my toothbrush need an IP address? Why do I have a piece of technology that if you told me to build an electric shaver right now, I couldn't do it. But back in the day, if someone wanted a haircut, it's like, oh yeah, we'll just get this piece of metal super sharp and we'll give it our 10-cent try. But now it's like, what the fuck is
Well, I
happening?
mean, why does your living room television need a camera and an array of microphones in it? In theory, it's so that you can wave at it and move your arm and stuff to change channel. But who's actually going to use that? It's a lot of work to lift your arm when you're watching TV when you can just press a remote. And of course, the remote is an app on your phone. There are many things wrong with this situation. Especially since
to spy on you with.
Televisions don't get firmware updates to fix 0-day bugs or anything like that. Once the manufacturer is done, releasing updates for like Netflix, you get nothing else. So, that
Really?
TV you
My
have.
TVs they're always bugging me about firmware updates.
Yeah,
To the
fuck
point where
that.
I just leave my TVs unplugged from the internet. What really pisses me off, I'm going to go on a rant here.
But how do you get to use? Then you can't use Netflix or Amazon or anything to watch movies.
I have an Apple TV hooked up to it, or I'll just stream it from my phone to the TV.
Yeah, that's not better.
Well, at least Apple isn't out to get all of your information to sell it. That's literally Google's business model. So,
Wait, hold on. Have you used iOS? Are you familiar with the App Store and the fact that they blocked all apps that don't run through them and all payments that run through them? And and Siri, which is a always listening.
You can turn that off.
No, you can't. You can turn it off on the slider, but it doesn't actually turn off.
You can disable Siri completely.
Yes, so it says in the interface, but do you believe that?
No. I guess not, but either way.
Makes you feel good, though.
You're derailing my rant.
Yeah, blast a rant.
I've got a tangent on your tangent.
So Samsung TVs, they're smart TVs. And this is bullshit. If I pay,
how smart,
$2,000 for a TV, how dare they put ads in the menus? There are literally ads.
And you haven't connected to the internet in like a year, so they're like really old ads, right?
Well, it depends on which TV. The one in my bedroom I don't have connected, but the one in the living room we do because I don't have any other way to watch Netflix in there. So that one literally it has ads like where it brings up the little menu on the bottom of the screen to switch inputs. On the far left, there's an ad. Like I'm gonna go see a freaking Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah, that's fun. That's like how I feel logging into my bank account. They run ads now. You've got click this thing to enable a discount, and there's some it's always something really obscure that you couldn't possibly use, something that nobody would ever use because it'll be for like a restaurant that they don't have in the state I live in. But someone paid them for that. I mean, they're literally running ads. It's like, here, you know, here's something you don't need or want or care about. Have fun.
But we're gonna put it in your face anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it just pisses me off if you spend like $2,000 on a TV. Like putting ads in there is just like someone pissing in your face. It is not okay.
Yeah.
That is not okay. That's true. I mean, R. Kelly would disagree, but you know, that's a different subject.
But 15 years later, it's still
I
funny.
just have to attend to the 3D printer.
By the way, Trachis, I love your idea of jailbreaking a toothbrush and running OpenSCAD on it. I would love it even more if we jailbroke the toothbrush and if we could run Doom on it. Imagine playing Doom on a toothbrush. Oh,
I've seen people do that with those fancy soldering irons.
that is.
So, I mean, if they have a screen on there, you probably could. You know, I
that
wouldn't
is
put it past someone.
peak hacker. Oh, speaking of the 0 days, that one oil company that got hit by ransomware recently, turns out, like, oh man, I don't know if you've been following that whole story, but there's been a whole saga about it where the guys that did it were like, hey, you know, it'll be $11 million to unlock all your shit, and then you know, things will go back to normal, and you know, you can run your business and we'll have our money. But then like the FBI got involved, and it was like, I think the group is called the Darksiders or something, and they were like, we don't participate in geopolitics. We were just in this for the money. We didn't mean to like attack critical infrastructure. And it was this giant backpedaling of like big regret energy that was coming off of these guys.
So the hackers apologize for being scumbags?
Not okay. Well, if you go to their forums or any of their stuff, like they try to make themselves out to be like these Robin Hoods because they do give a little bit of money to like charities and stuff, and or like crypto or whatever. But the amount of money that they make versus how much they actually give to charities is obscene. But anyway, so like they're getting all this buyer's remorse after they found out that like the FBI is after them. Basically, the entire United States is after them, and they're like, "Ooh, I don't want to wake up, you know, in 1,000 little pieces chopped up in a dumpster. So we're just gonna say we're really sorry, and then we'll lower how much we're gonna ask for ransom." And then they did.
Want $10 million.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
and then
if
they
you
did. They
found
lowered it to
out-
11.
If you found out that it's the U.S. government you have hit, would you not just turn it off immediately and go bury yourself somewhere? Like, save them the trouble, you know?
Hey, man. But the latest installment, as of like this morning, of that saga is that oil company did pay $5 million. So I guess they knocked the price down even lower. But still, the company paid out, which was lame because you're never supposed to pay the ransom ever.
I mean,
because
So
If you-
okay,
stupid.
so
Oh my
you
God.
pay it, but you know they're going to get it back. I mean, they might have paid it now just to fix the problem and be done with it, get things running, but those people will be hunted. You know, their children will be hunted. Their grandchildren will be hunted. There will be no end to it. I mean,
Yeah.
you want to talk about vengeance. Have you met this country?
yeah. But
Where are they
what I'm
located?
saying is that
are they Russian or?
I think they were just using Russian IP addresses,
yeah. Well,
which
there's
is what everybody
They should
does.
start running.
there's weird mitigation strategies though. Like apparently that ransomware won't install if you have the Russian keyboard installed on your computer. You don't have to use it, but it searches to see if you use the Cyrillic keyboard, and if you do, then it just like doesn't install.
Will it uninstall itself if you add that keyboard later? 'Cause
No,
that'd be a
no.
great workaround.
Yeah, that would be a great workaround. But no, it doesn't. It does. But like, still, that's such a bad precedent to set because everyone knows if you get hit with ransomware, you never pay the ransom because they could just be like, oh, well, thanks for the money. I'm still not going to unlock anything. Or like, hey, thanks for the money, but I think I'll just leave something to encrypt all your stuff again in like 6 months' time. I think someone's 3D printer is
It's
hitting us.
probing.
Yeah.
That's probing his bed.
Yeah, Azura, they did pay the ransom.
You know, it does bring up an interesting point. We don't have any super secret special anti-hacking teams or, some AI system that can like fool anything, crack anything, decrypt anything. That's all fantasy. All the top secret stuff we have is, just weapons, nothing very useful when there's a real attack like that.
Yeah, but I think the methodology is matured enough that people know it's like, hey, ever since 2018, like the summer of ransomware, everyone knows that you have to keep backups, because when you get hit with ransomware, not if, when you get hit with ransomware, you just restore from backup, because if you pay the ransom, you're just opening yourself up to get hit again and again, assuming that they even unlock your stuff the first time. So that's
Yeah,
kind of
that reminds me. A friend of mine got hit with a crypto locker, and at least he thought he did. No technical knowledge of any kind. He uses a Mac. It's understandable. So he finally messaged me and was like, "Hey, I need you to help me out with this. Don't know how to deal with it." He had already gone and gotten a like green dot prepaid card and gave them the card number, but they never cashed it. So he was able to just call up and like cancel the card later and get the money returned. And as far as the locker goes, I went to check it out and I was like, "Oh, here, press and hold your power button and turn it back on." It was a web browsing, it was a web browser, a pop-up that had just covered the page and prevented him from clicking out of it. And again, Mac user, so he didn't know holding the power button for 10 seconds would just force it to turn off. And then, of course, it was gone.
You're
because
just relentless tonight.
Wow. Preach it. Tell it how it is.
Yeah, I mean, if they had actually cashed the card after he submitted it in their little form, then he would have been out like $600 for nothing. It wasn't even locked. It was just a pop-up that covers over your buttons, which the reason I mentioned the Mac part is this is a particular attack that only works against Safari, because Safari allows pop-ups to cover over other menu items and other buttons and allows them to mimic it and, put like a transparent overlay over things.
My favorite is when I'll get like a pop-up that's modeled after Windows XP and I'm on a Mac. I always find
I get those on Linux, and it's like, nope, that's definitely not right.
Yeah,
something's a little fishy here.
Not today. But that's something else that I think people vastly overestimate the technical prowess of, you guys can't see it, but hackers, I'm putting in air quotes, because like some guy just literally wrote some JavaScript that say, hey, maximize this Safari screen so they can't click out of it. And that's it. That's their entire attack chain right there. Is like, all right. And then we just hope that they buy this card and then they never use it. Like, what? Like, these are the people. Granted, there are some very highly skilled people that are very scary and they're, complete wizards at the keyboard. But like these dudes with the pop-ups that just have like Windows iconography, like that's got to be fooling somebody, or else they wouldn't be using it, right?
Well, it's the elderly is what they target.
The printer is running.
If you ever watch on
perfect
on YouTube or on Twitch, they have like scam baiters like Kit Boga, and
I love those.
Yeah, they're really great, but I mean, some of the stuff that they try to do is, I mean, if you're like an old person and you don't know anything about a computer at all, and it's kind of scary to you.
Those are kind of brutal. Like the person will just be like yelling in your ear that you have to pay us or we're gonna sue you. All this. Yeah, I mean, it makes you wonder. How can you be that dumb? Like, how can you possibly think someone who barely speaks English is from the IRS and is screaming at you to pay them $20,000 now, or what? I mean, have you never have you never watched Law and Order? Do you not know how lawsuits work? Like, do you not understand that you would have to receive like a summons in the mail and go to court and be set up on a payment plan?
I think when they target the elderly, they hear, you have to like taxes or Social Security, that automatically kind of puts them into maybe like a headspace that's a little more, fear based. And
yeah, but old people,
like
they don't want to give up their money. I mean, how do you get an old person to drop 20 grand on something?
Well, they usually won't stay at like 20 grand. Like if you watch Kit Boga and them,
oh yeah, they'll keep lowering it.
Yeah,
they'll like keep going until they find a point where you actually have that much money.
Yeah.
The craziest thing is that the one where they have you enter commands in the command line, like a direct bank transfer, and then try and make you think that they just sent you too much money and then you have to send it back. It's like, it's the most backwards
it's the
scam.
Refund. Yeah, otherwise they'll lose their job.
I mean,
you have to help me and buy gift cards.
I mean, just think about that for a moment, though. If you were in an interface that would let you do a wire transfer, that you could change the amount of money. I mean, if I got a chance to do that, I would just be like, $1 million, click, goodbye. Like if you ever get a chance to run, someone calls you for that scam, I would just try and like get them to send you the money and then not send them anything back. I still don't know how he manages to hack into their systems though. Like, what is the entry point where he takes over their computers?
It's typically a like a team viewer or some sort of like screen sharing software where like, he basically gets control from the target to say, hey, we're removing the antivirus. The IRS, we're making sure that your bank account's all set up. And then they'll pull up some website and they'll manipulate, how you can like right click and say inspect or like view source or whatever. And
Sure.
they'll just manipulate that number to be like, yeah, turns out that we sent you too much money, like $15,000. So you can keep $5,000 of it, but you need to wire transfer 10,000 of that, today. Go down to Western Union or whatever, and here's all the bank info. Or anyway, you can see the YouTube videos if you really want to get in the weeds about it.
Yeah,
but,
the one that actually did happen for one of those kind of refund scams happened to a friend of mine, and he was a mechanic, and this was a very targeted attack. The idea was that a couple cars were going to get delivered that needed to have work done on them, delivered by tow truck or something, or carrier vehicle, and they were mailing him a check, and they were mailing him the check for the amount to pay the driver and the amount to pay for the work, which is insane because nobody pays you before getting the work done when you're a mechanic. So he already knew it had to have been a scam, but he just went with it. And sure enough, a check shows up in the mail. Went to try and cash it. Bank lets him know that it was a check that had been washed and rewritten. And he explained to them what had happened with it, and they didn't really care. They're like, yeah, these things happen all the time. And then a truck shows up, like a tow truck pulling two old beater cars, just pieces of shit that you wouldn't possibly pay to fix someone, shows up and comes asking for his money for the delivery. And I won't say exactly what happened next, but the guy left running for his car and burned out of there, leaving the two clunker cars in the driveway. And that was the end of that one.
That's wild. Yeah.
It was something. I mean, I thought it was dumb he even tried to cash the check. Is like, they're just going to like put a little red asterisk next to your account forever now.
Yeah, well.
So if anybody's wondering what I'm doing with the heat gun and hole.
What?
He's this is hole, okay.
Trickus, why? What happened to you, bro?
I'll be right back, actually. Hold on a second.
So for everyone that wasn't aware of what Blasto's doing, he's hand wiring his own keyboard. Like every switch, every diode, everything like is all him. There's no.
Yeah, honestly, I got halfway through this one and I kind of got bored, but I also realized that I don't want to type on these switches because the travel is very limited, but the noise is very loud and the pressure required is also quite high. But it looks like Blasso's almost finished his.
You don't want to type on it, but like, hey, what if that ends up being a prize in something in one of the contests? Or
it already has the diodes soldered and the rows soldered. So if you feel like soldering the columns on it and programming this little thing, then yeah, this would be this could be a. I'll force you to take it. Like, you have to take this prize.
We could almost do like a little QVC. Like you can just model and over here for one low payment of $0.99, you can have this very
I will pay you
keyboard.
$2 to take this keyboard from me. You fell into a floor. Did it come at you? Why people keep popping up messages? The lag. There. Fell into a floor.
A floor? Is that what it is?
Well, he said a flume, but I assume he meant floor. Is a flume a real thing?
I think a flume is a real thing, but it's
The word sounds real. I mean, it sounds made up, but I think it might be a real thing. It's been a day. So this is my quadcopter. That's what's left of it after yesterday.
Ooh. Is it supposed to look like that, or
not really?
Oh,
it's a little bendy right now.
It is a little bendy.
I just got done designing a new frame for it. It's on the printer now. I had intended to have it printing earlier, but got a new fault with it. Turned it on, trying to crank up the temperature high enough so that I could change out the nozzle. And I don't know, it said something about not being able to reach its target of 180 C. It only hit like 150, so that wasn't good. But yeah, so I just changed out the nozzle at a lower temp, so it might end up coming loose at some point. We'll see how it goes. Never seen that particular error on this machine before, but you know, it's always something. Yeah, I was flying it, and just one of those typical things. You hit a tree, cut throttle, it falls, lands, breaks in half, and it's a pretty cheap one. Great flyer, really, really fast, like scary fast coming at you, and quite a large one too. 7-inch props on it, but really is fun.
From what you were just holding up?
Yeah.
What?
So right here, so these are that's the prop for it.
Damn.
So it's 7-inch prop, which is typical for a motor this size. This is like I think it's a 1850 with like 20,000 kV. Don't ask me to explain the kV ratings. They don't actually mean anything. They're just kind of arbitrary. Well, you know, normally you would give like RPM and torque at a specific RPM. Instead, the kV ratings are related to what RPM you can achieve at what voltage, but it doesn't actually tell you how much torque is available. That isn't even a rating that they give you. You just have to kind of trial and error to figure out which size motor you need. So, you know, so that's always kind of fun. But yeah, so crashed it. It was a good excuse to just rip it out of the remainder of the case and build a new one. These are the batteries for it. The battery, for instance, weighs as much as all of the internals, and the internals weigh about exactly the same as the case that it was in. It's kind of interesting the way it worked out like that. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I get this thing printed. Can be flying it in the morning. I was planning on actually just assembling it here on screen, which I might if we're still streaming in about 45 minutes when that print finishes.
That is a pretty interesting ratio, though. That like the internals weigh as much as the battery, which weighs as much as the case. I wonder, is that one of
Well,
like the doctrines? Is that like in the doctrine of building your own quadcopter when you're making weight? Is like
I mean,
everything?
it is when you build it badly. Like normally the frame should weigh about half as much as your internals, and your battery should weigh about a little bit less than the internals. But I have excessively large cells for this, so I can get some like around half-hour flight times. So just a little more fun to stay up. It's not quite as punchy, but that's also good because it's really hard to control a quad that is zipping along at 60 miles an hour, and you need to make a quick turn, and it just keeps going. I typically only build smaller quads. This is the largest, well, second to largest one that I have. Largest one I have that's was currently flying. I guess all of mine are broken right now. But I always, when I disassemble them, I always weigh everything out if I haven't built it to begin with. So I know exactly how much weight I can shave off certain areas, or like how big of a battery can I stick on it and still have it fly decent and not have the motors overheat. Part of that KV rating, the voltage that's going in, and the size of it is related to how fast it can dissipate the heat. So if you have too small of a motor, it might be able to put out enough torque and enough RPM, but the heat buildup will end up frying the stators, the little windings in there. So you need a larger motor with more aluminum, more heat sinking capability, and thicker gauge wire. And it is a kind of an annoying thing. You try and find a like motor calculator, and what you get is just pages of math. And there is no calculator because it's not actually a legitimate rating that is related to, like to joules or, any particular form of measurement that matters.
Sounds like something that could be like a calculator that could be easily. I don't know. I really don't want to use the pun spun up, like a calculator spun up in a like an Excel sheet or like a Google Doc, and then put that in a cafe.
The main reason it can't be done is that the size, the KV rating, the way the coils are made, all that stuff is dependent entirely on the manufacturer, and the manufacturer has to actually run through the proper tests to give those ratings, and that's it's a complex thing, time consuming, expensive, and these are hobbyist things. They're very expensive.
Yeah.
Very expensive to do these things. So, it comes down to do they care enough to bother, or do they just make a motor and you just use it and just ignore all the little details?
Yeah, if it shits the bed, it shits the bed. It doesn't matter. Like it's just hobbyists that are using these. For now,
yeah,
I don't know.
And they're cheap. I mean, the motors are they range from like $10 to $40. 40 being like the most expensive one you would put on a smaller quad, and $10 being the cheapest. I mean, the guts from this thing, what it was, the entire quadcopter, the remote controller included, and a battery and a charger, and extra props and all this stuff was $60. So there's not a lot of room left for actual R&D or testing. They just kind of send it out, and if there's any problems, then they fix them in the version 2 or the version 3. This is the version 3 of it, and they've got I think like 4 more versions since then, but they cost up and up as they improve on the parts. But yeah, fun to fly, fun to crash. Doesn't usually snap an arm off. That was just special.
For as long as quadcopters have been around, I'm surprised they're not like you see the swarms over sporting events or whatever, where they'll have like the the swarm of quads making like the American flag or
Did you see
whatever.
the QR code that they had suspended over? I think it was in Hong Kong.
Oh, that's genius. No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I guess it didn't actually work. Everyone that was in the area that tried it, nobody actually got it to work. I don't know if it was just something to do with the
Or
way the
waste.
camera. Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is that it's like this big in the view of your camera. Like, you ever try taking a picture of the moon?
Yeah.
Unless you've got like one of the Google phones, it just doesn't work. So yeah, kind of a waste, but still, it looks awesome. And talk about cyberpunk. This is like the most cyberpunk looking thing ever, having a like holographic display projected that's like 100 feet tall above a 1,000-foot tall sky line. You know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, welcome to the future. But I'm surprised that there haven't been like, okay, that it looks nice, but that's a lot of moving vehicles that could be used to do a lot of different cool things. Like, why are we just using them for basically just entertainment? Like, not to say that.
Well, so far,
but I mean, that was kind of my point with how long quads have been out. They've been around since what, 2010, really, that people have been mass producing them. That's already 11. And okay, there are some people that are using them to like survey land and
well,
and,
if you go on, just say whatever your favorite maps program is, and search for quad shop or quad store, what you'll get is literally thousands of companies that do aerial photography for real estate. You have to have a specific license in order to do that legally. So like, if I want to take my quadcopter that I own on my own property and fly it up around my property and take video footage and pictures of my property that I'm then going to sell, that's not legal. That is being used for a commercial purpose, and you are breaking the FCC's laws and committing a federal crime.
Boo.
And they've been working on a bunch of other insane rules that are just, it's not that they're really trying to kill it. They're just trying to keep dumb people from flying like 20-pound quads over a neighborhood and dropping it on someone. Which, you would think that'd probably be a really rare thing, not likely to happen. But when there's millions of these things flying in the air every day, because you've got the toys, semi-toys, the prices come down so much that, for, I don't know, $200, you can buy one that can get up into the airspace. It is a legitimate concern. But the way they're going about it's ridiculous. For a minute there, they were going to try and force you to have a module on the drone that reports back to the cell network, so it'd report its location and prevent it from flying anywhere that it couldn't fly safely, like too close to an airport or too high elevation. But that was just, that was a nice idea. Like, someone just pulled that idea out of their ass one day, but it's completely impossible just due to the weight requirements, the weight of a module like that. And then, what happens when it like loses connection? It's not like our cell phones have a good connection all the time. Or if you wanted to just go fly in the woods and it says, no, you can't take off because there's no connection. There's a lot of ridiculous things. Luckily for now, we've got 3 years until any of these laws actually go into effect, and you don't know what will change in between then. There's several of the largest quad stores or manufacturers that have an active lawsuit against the FCC right now. They already got a bunch of just insane stuff removed. It's probably going to boil down to you can fly it however you want under a certain elevation and under a certain weight. So it's just considered a toy. The problem is that everyone keeps pushing the boundaries of, what is a little plastic toy and what is a professional piece of equipment, because the size and weight don't really matter that much anymore. They just keep making higher density batteries, lower weight components. The weight limit is 250 grams. Anything under that is considered a toy for now. A 250 gram drone can fly 3,000 feet into the air and travel for 10 or 20 miles.
What?
Oh yeah, so the size, because it's basically all motor and battery. The weight of everything else has been reduced to virtually nothing. Like this one it's cheap, so it makes sense that the PC board on this is massive, and that all the components hanging off of it are a bit excessively large. But the new ones, all of this stuff hanging off, the ESCs that control the motor speed, this whole board, all of that has been condensed down into the size of this chip right here. So the rest is just a frame, motor, and batteries. And even this one, if you could maintain your signal and fly it manually up that high, this thing could probably hit 500-foot elevation without too much trouble, and maybe even higher if you just stacked 2 or 3 of these batteries, which it has the weight carrying capacity to do that. And that's a $60 toy. So yeah, I get it from the standpoint of I don't want one of these to fall on my head or to crash and then catch fire, because they do usually catch fire when the batteries take an impact from a few hundred feet up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say usually, but it happens enough that if you Google like lithium battery fire, you'll find quite a lot of them.
Yeah.
Now, as far as useful uses for the drone, they're also starting to do this in Vegas too, and doing full-on advertisements for casinos in the air.
Yeah, but like advertisements and entertainment, like, come on, we have swarms of robots at our command, and what are we gonna do? Make more ads? Like, come on, humanity, that's so
we
lame.
have swarms of them being used as weapons. We have them being used for search and rescue for the fire department.
All right, the search and rescue bit's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's actually there's a company out here in Arizona that is starting a training course that I think I will jump in on it if I can. You get certified to fly their drones, and their drones are being used for things like putting out fires or doing like pipeline inspection, cable inspection. They don't fly a helicopter out to inspect the high voltage power lines anymore unless they have to. They just fly a drone over because there's no risk of dying. Whereas with the helicopter, it's quite risky.
Blasto, you just about finished there?
It's definitely getting used for some interesting tasks.
Stickers, I am. But have you seen the they have? I know We Energies here in Wisconsin has some drones with flamethrowers on them to like burn stuff off of power lines.
Yeah,
that is cool. That is cool. That's something I want.
Yep, that same. I think that's the same company that's doing the fire extinguishing line as well. They probably send up both. One to light it, one to put it out.
Hey, there you go.
It's like that's kind of like the cryptocurrency. We're gonna go start the fire. I mean, not cryptocurrency, the crypto lockers. Go start the fire and then pay us, and we'll go put it out for you.
Yeah,
that sounds very dystopian, actually.
Yeah, it does. Like holding people hostage via like man-made disaster.
COVID.
Like, oh. All right.
Thanks, Obama.
I'm wise enough not to jump down that rabbit hole. All right. I have my vaccine. I'm getting my 5G reception from Bill Gates straight to Al Gore's internet. And
speaking of that, we're gonna have a new shirt up on Redbubble quite soon here. It's I'm not quite sure on the graphics yet, but on the text it's gonna be I'm vaccinated and my 5G still sucks or something like that. Still no 5G.
Nice.
Got vaccinated, still no 5G. I'll try and boil it down to something simple so people get the joke. Maybe for the graphics, I don't know, something totally unrelated, like an atomic bomb going off or something.
Put the Wi-Fi signal or like a cell phone tower.
Little Wi-Fi signal coming off of like a syringe.
No, how about the Wi-Fi signal coming off of like out of your head or something?
I like the syringe idea.
or like a Wi-Fi signal coming off of a little COVID particle.
That would work.
Yeah, well, let's get some ideas from the group
Or
here.
if you have,
there's
if
like
you
5
have-
people watching.
if you have the COVID like virus, and then you take off all the spike proteins on the outside and put little cell towers, that would be cool.
That's perfect. That is brilliant right there, because that would almost kind of look like it might be too deep for most people to understand, but anyone who gets it, that's who it was for.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not a good sounding clunk. My printer is far away. I can't actually watch it anymore. I need to put a camera on it just so I can see it from 6 feet away. Oh,
So
I'm gonna have to
got
go
most
deal
of
with
this,
that real
most
quick.
of the stickers on. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with other ones, because I don't have a place for these keys, because I'm kind of going off of like the layout from an ortholinear keyboard I saw on Amazon. So these keys don't get invited to the party, but I still have to figure out how I'm going to label these things, like the space bar down here, the raise lower, escape, all that kind of jazz, because
Just use the Hans key set.
yeah. If I had a laser, I could etch them in here and like rub some white paint on it. That would be cool.
There you go.
But
Nothing too serious. Just
and
a
then
build
laser.
up.
Next week sometime I'm going to finish up the soldering on this.
So you got all
This
the
weekend.
rows done. You just need to do the columns.
Right, I have the rows done. The columns. have
That
to
sounds
get done.
really familiar, because I have all the rows done and not the columns. And I said I would finish it next week a year ago.
Yeah, but I actually am going to do it though.
Okay, that's what I said
right,
too.
Right now I'm just waiting for my fume extractor to come. I decided against building one because it just turned into a pain in the ass, and I just bought one. They tested, Adam Savage's tested.com had a YouTube video on like some soldering tools or whatever, and they had actually one of the fume extractors I thought looked like a piece of junk, but they reviewed it and it said it's okay, so I'm giving it a try. It's only $80, so we'll see how it works out.
How does it work for farts?
I haven't tried that yet. Yeah.
Didn't they test that on? Didn't they test that on Tested?
No, they didn't. It wasn't Adam Savage, so
maybe they did, but
them.
didn't tell anybody.
That's true. But I will test it and let you know how it works. I can actually go in here. I can actually share my screen for a second.
I kind of like Eat Comics' suggestion from way earlier. It's like we should make one of those keyboards the cursed prize, where like we just pass it around from person to person, and then whoever has it for like, until the next con. In which case, like, yeah, you get to pass it off to someone else for, I don't know. I don't know what the criteria would be, but I really like that idea.
The criteria is that everyone finishes like a little bit more of it every time.
Ooh. It would be like the Sisterhood of the Traveling Keyboard.
There you go.
I'll admit I have not read the book or watched the movie, but I get the reference.
Can I share my screen, Boat? I'm going to show you guys which fume extractor I was talking about.
Looks like Plasto Helix crashed again.
There we go. So it's this one.
So I'm going to reboot them real quick.
I think.
Yes, the vacuum hose with a tiny PC fan inside a box.
Yeah, well, it's a 120 millimeter blower fan. The thing is like it's not hard to build one, but sourcing that hose that you can bend and leave in a plate, like in shape, is surprisingly expensive. Like
it's not just some. So it wasn't just some vacuum cleaner hose. It actually holds its position.
No, yeah, it holds its position, and I haven't been able to find one that's less than like $60. So
the ability for it to stay where you place it, that was worth $100 to you. You couldn't
Well,
just
buying itself is $60, so
use
I mean-
any piece of hose and then a piece of thick copper wire and zip tie that to the hose, and then you can use it to bend and place wherever you want.
I'm sure I could have figured a way out to do it, but
Yes.
I just figured, I don't really feel like designing one. I whipped this test piece up, to go between two giant.
Yeah, I saw that the other day. I thought that
AC-powered.
looked. Yeah, I thought that was a finished, you had built it and we're done. I thought
No,
that was the
no.
fume extractor.
This
you were
was
gonna go
just
with.
this is a quick and dirty test print. It looks like shit, but I found some paper, a research paper that was actually done by Noctua that shows if you stack fans, it'll double the pressure, but if they're right on each other, they'll totally ruin the effect and actually hamper the pressure and hinder it. You need to add at least 50 millimeters in between for a 120 millimeter fan. So I just made this to kind of go between. I was testing it, and it did work. I just didn't really feel like finishing the design because I just wasn't feeling it, and I just didn't want to do it.
So you got 90% there and decided to scrap it. That
It's
sounds
not-
about right. I mean,
This isn't
that's how we all do it.
90%. This is, very early, Yeah. That's just a quick and dirty, 5 minutes in Fusion, and, Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. We got 55% completed of this print. If anyone's wondering how the print could be going this fast, I'm running a 0.8 millimeter nozzle.
Them thick lines.
You get thicker lines, you get stronger prints, and you reduce your print time by quite a lot.
Helix, can you zoom in on your snoot once?
So about that, my scroll wheel has a mind of its own. I can try to zoom in on the snoot, but let's see what happens. No, almost.
There we go.
More?
There's some HD snoot.
There we go.
Is there a cuter dog option?
What do you mean? Is there a cuter dog? What the hell is that supposed to mean, Boot?
A little Chihuahua, maybe a
Oh
Shih
my.
Tzu.
All right. Well, thanks for
What
coming
planet
online,
are Shih
guys.
Tzus cute?
Boot thinks Chihuahuas are cute. I guess that's all we've got for you.
Well, on what planet are Shih Tzus cute? They look like someone booped their nose in too hard, and they got teeth hanging out and everything. Although Jake is adorable, and she is part Chihuahua, right?
Yeah, mostly Chihuahua, and the rest is who knows.
Yeah, those are the best. I like mutts.
That's how most Chihuahuas are. Yeah, I mean, you kind of hope for a mutt anyways because they usually live a lot longer than a full breed.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I've got I pulled up a couple of these sky drone
The
advertisements
Chihuahua
and
wiener
stuff.
dog mix? That sounds
No.
adorable.
No, that's terrible. Dachshunds are one of the worst dogs you can get.
Oh, pish posh. They're adorable.
They
They're
are
little
not.
sausage dogs. They are little sausage boys, and I
They're
love
little pieces of shit.
them. No, they're adorable.
Especially if you get them running around in a hot dog costume.
Exactly.
10 out of 10. 10
That
out of
is
10.
adorable. How could you say that, Oops? Sometimes I have to wonder.
Look at
Have
the
you ever
look.
had?
He's got
have
the
you
look
ever
of
had one?
contempt on his face.
Have you ever had one? Do you know anyone that has had one?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they have anything good to say about it?
Yes.
They lied.
The guy I knew that had dachshunds loved them to pieces. I think they're still alive too. Yeah, he loves them, but man, they are loud. You want to talk about the yippy dog? That is,
Yeah, you're talking about loud. I had a parrot. Okay.
yeah. Parrots are. That's something
Derpy
else.
was very, very loud. He always spoke his mind. So
It's kind of a good
Did he
thing.
have
though.
anything interesting to say?
yeah, he could say "go poop."
Did he say it at the appropriate time?
Yes, actually, he did. But
That's awesome.
So here we go. Here's the one I think this one's in Vegas with the drones. I think
That's
that's
like some weird anime shit, isn't it?
I think that's pretty cool. I think that really is one of the coolest uses, commercial uses for a drone. It's the fact that there's like 1,000 of these flying in formation right now, except for right up in the middle. There's like one out, which I assume that one crashed. Um, the fact that this thing can fly in formation is just incredible.
Yeah.
And it was only a couple years ago they started being able to do this. Like, it went from a concept, they had like 30 of them, then 100 of them, and then they jumped to just having like a few thousand of them.
I think didn't Lady Gaga do something with drones at the Super Bowl when she was there?
It's
I think
possible.
She did something like that with these.
When I went and saw Muse in concert, they had a insane drone setup flying around the entire time. They had like a 15-foot long blow up Star Destroyer, like Star Wars Star Destroyer, flying around the arena the whole time. And then they had these giant orbs that were lit up flying around in unison. And a few other spaceships flying around that were having like dogfights in the air during the concert. I don't know why they did that, but it was really cool. Although much cooler than that was the it was about 70-foot tall holographic display they had on the stage, which they somehow, I mean, it kind of just looked like there was a screen, something like hanging. At least you thought there was something there, like that was solid, and they're just projecting onto it. Except for they walked right through it. So this was a legit holographic display being projected in midair into nothing.
That's wild.
No idea how they did it. I was actually pretty close to the stage, and I still couldn't figure out any hint of how it was done, other than they might have just not been on the stage at all, and they might have just been part of the hologram, so it looked like they're walking through it, but they're actually just part of what's being displayed. I mean, that was the only thing I could think of to explain it, but it was pretty trippy. And, flying spaceships around having dogfights with little laser beam lights that were coming out, but starting and stopping like they do in Star Wars, where it's like a slow beam that travels.
Yeah.
So somehow they did that, shooting out of the spaceships to the next spaceship. No idea how they managed.
Astronomically expensive.
I mean, yeah, it was quite something. I've never seen a 15 by 20 foot drone flying around either.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you could see the operators. So these were not an automated system. There were pilots up on top of the stage, like up in the rafters, up in like the dark area. There was, I don't know, a dozen or two guys up there, like strapped into harnesses, just hanging out in the rafters with controllers and these kind of crazy looking flight systems in front of them.
Damn, that's cool.
Yeah, I kind of felt bad for them too, because at one point they set off a row of pyrotechnics, and I was like, oh, that guy definitely singed his hair. Like, those flames went way up there. I was like, that has to suck.
But at the same time, like it's like, I don't know, if someone was to say like, hey man, what happened to your hair? It's like, don't worry about it. I was piloting a Star Destroyer when Muse lit my hair on fire. Like, top that story, bro.
Seriously. And you know what? Muse, hands down, most cyberpunk band there is. Like, they've been doing this since the beginning. Yeah. Every one of their albums is this like crazy story, crazy sci-fi story. And, every single music video they make is also something cool like that.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of Muse since I was in college anyway. But
Same.
Yeah, man.
Although, I'm a little. Say, you strike me more as a Coldplay kind of guy.
Who? Me or Boot?
Boot.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the same look as like, I got you a dachshund for your birthday.
Carefully, you don't singe off your other eyebrow.
Yeah.
Oh, so I haven't really been working on any projects between like flying to weddings and getting sick with the vaccine, strangely enough. But I have been like obsessively hunting down for that airplane cockpit keyboard where it's like it just stows into the front like a little tray and then you pull it out and it folds out into a keyboard. Like having that in the passenger seat of like an RV or a Winnebago or something like that would be so cool. But I called up Airbus and I called up like every single one of the phone numbers that they have, and the amount of effort that I have to go through to give them money so that they can send me one of those things is like way too high. I just want to buy one of those things.
Yeah, that's not a consumer product though.
Yeah, but if I lie to them and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I was a pilot for, 15 years and I'm making my own flight simulator. Do you guys have
I'm building
anything?"
my own Airbus.
Well, hey, if private security companies have their own A10s, like, then yeah, I'm sure there's some guy that like some billionaire that was super super bored, just like, you know what? I'm gonna try and build an Airbus by myself one day, and did it.
Well, you'd probably have better luck going out to one of those fields where they, send old airplanes to die.
The boneyards, yeah, I was looking around for those too,
Yeah.
but
That would be kind of
Do you happen to have a screen share of that keyboard you were talking about?
it's a YouTube video here. Airbus A380. I'm gonna put it in our chat. Oh, maybe not. Anyway, the cockpit is called the A380.
Found one for a Boeing 797.
Like the tray?
The tray keyboard thing.
That would be kind of funny if Booch just finds it after like 2 seconds of Googling. And
I would start doing front flips of rage.
I mean, I didn't find a for sale page, but here's a picture of one. Could probably find it for sale. I
What
assume
did
that's
you
the one
say
you're talking about.
when you called up Airbus.
Yeah,
you
flips
were like,
over
"Hey,
and then slides. Yeah, that's the thing.
Where'd you post it?
In the chat
Oh,
for everybody.
yeah. Very similar to that.
So when you called Airbus, what did you say to them? You're like, hey, so I'm an eccentric weirdo who wants a keyboard from an airplane.
No, I straight up lied to him. I was like, yeah, I flew for Delta for a little while, and now I'm putting together my own flight simulator. But I want to get one of those trays with like the keyboard that folds into the display panel.
But, a lot of people build flight sims. They probably get that call every week.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if they get that call that often, you'd think that they would be like, yeah, sure, it's just $200 for this keyboard or whatever.
Just $6,000, and you have to order 50 of them.
Yeah. That's most likely like what actually happens. But hey, you don't know unless you call, right?
True. Very true.
I guess what I could do is just like build my own and then have it. I don't know. I'd have to like carve out a part of my car to do it. But
Sounds worth it. Just take the
Well,
airbags
let's see
out
here.
and put the keyboard in.
I'm looking at some flight sims where they have added the keyboard, but those look janky. It's like a block of wood and a keyboard screwed to it.
no, well, it would be kind of doable though. Like all you'd have to do is take off the glove compartment door to store it in there, and then just make a little housing so like Yeah, you just pull it out, and instead of a glove compartment, yeah, you lose a glove compartment, but who keeps anything useful in there anyway?
Just take out the airbags, die like a man,
No, yeah.
and have your keyboard there.
You know
have
what?
to have airbags to take them out. My car is airbag free, so I don't have to worry about one hitting me in the face while I'm driving. You know, hit a bump or getting shrapnel, you know, through my skull. Well, have you ever noticed that you know, people die often in car wrecks, but rarely on the racetrack? And there's no airbags on the race car.
Yeah, but aren't those cars like giant roll cages too?
Exactly.
Yeah, they have roll cages and a 5-point harness, and like.
And you know why consumer cars are not that way? Because they can't rely on the people in the car to actually put on a seatbelt. And that is the actual problem.
Remember those things in like the cars from the 90s had that, like, where the seatbelt would just like go along that little track on the door?
Yes.
Yeah,
that was the coolest part of those cars. I loved it.
They stopped doing that one because most people would just unclip the seatbelt because it was annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, it's convenience to me because I'm lazy as hell.
Yeah, well, and if it doesn't work, then you know, if it just stops working, then you have no seatbelt, no manual option on those things.
Yeah, I guess you're just kind of at the mercy of the track, like of that little motor being held in place on the track.
Mm-hmm. One more thing to go wrong. One more thing to get blamed for. I just posted another picture here. This is an up-close shot of the keyboard you're looking for. Or I assume it's the same model or very similar.
Yeah, it is. Those keys look super flat, though. I know for a fact those aren't going to give a nice, satisfying click, but
no, they're going to be, you know, waterproof, dustproof. You know,
yeah,
going to be a mushy silicone job.
But I do like how those age.
You could build that.
Yeah, it is kind of just a flat tray with like, you could just get one of those flat like chiclet rubber keyboards. And there's not going to be any special keys on it because this thing would just be connected to a Windows computer.
Yeah.
You could just get like one of those fold-down tables and just like convert it into, you know.
Eat Comics, nothing is Mile High Club proof. Life finds a way. I'm going to leave it at that.
Well, that's why the keyboard's rubber. You know, just rinse it off.
Well, you know, you don't know what the pilots and the stewardesses get up to.
Yeah, probably for the better. I'd like to imagine that the pilot is doing nothing but flying the plane the entire time.
No, they're mostly doing paperwork. You have a lot of logs to fill out while you're flying. And, you know, at least nowadays, once you're in the air, the plane is flying itself. You are not doing anything. You know, you got to take the wheel if there's turbulence and take off and landing. That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it. Man.
I'll stay on the ground where I belong.
It's just Windows for avionics. No, they don't use that for any of that. That's just for like doing their logs. And if that computer quits working, then they have to write it by hand.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think I got like 5 more minutes in me, and then I gotta reboot the old brain.
Yeah, your dog is starting to look tired.
Yeah,
it keeps yawning and like it's like falling asleep.
I was hoping you guys. I was hoping my camera was too shitty for it to like pick up on that.
No, it's like its head keeps tilting. It's like the eyes keep like.
My favorite is when it gets like the chipmunk cheeks, like out of nowhere, randomly the cheeks will just get enormous, and it's not a setting, it's not a button that I'm pushing, it just doing it live. But
it's not your face just getting giant.
No, unfortunately, I can't control the size of my face at will.
Some sort of lizard defense tactic.
Yeah, unbeknownst to you guys, I'm actually part of that, the World Trade Organization, Lizard Illuminati, Freemason elite, and that's what's actually happening. That's what's getting picked up by the Doge there. It's my shape shifting. But no, the idea behind this keyboard that's going to be in the passenger seat of an RV is that like, all right, one person, you're on a road trip, and then the other person can either be watching movies or playing games, but you're not going to be able to move around, at least not with like the WASD keys on a keyboard like that. You know what I mean? Or at least you'd have to be playing some really slow-paced game like Civ or.
So how about I like the idea of having the slot and the slide-out tray. I assume it has a cup holder on one side, and it could just be a laptop tray. Maybe make it a little more extreme too. Like you press a button and it kind of shoots out at you, and the screen pops up.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Spring loaded.
Nah, pneumatic or hydraulic. Like really give it some punch.
You will game now.
Like you don't tell the passenger it's there. Just press the button.
Yeah, but it's all fun and games until they like drop their phone and they lean forward, and then this hydraulic piston just
punches them in the head,
cuts them in half.
That could be a feature. Someone jumps in the passenger seat, tries to hijack you. You're like, sure, let me just pow.
Gone.
Have a good night, eat comics.
But no, I really like that idea. Like instead of wanting to have an integrated keyboard in that little fold-out tray, why don't I just get like like drawers in your kitchen or whatever? How they're on those tracks. Like just make a tray that sits on one of those and rest a normal mechanical keyboard that has whatever switches and keycaps I want inside of it.
Yep, and there is a variety of those that lock in place when they're extended.
There you go.
So it won't just slide back in.
You can have one of those cool switches that have like those little covers that you have to flip up to like get it to eject.
Like a safety switch?
Yeah, those are cool.
They are really cool. I made a stereo once out of an old ammo can and safety switches and just some random Bluetooth PCB that you can buy on Amazon. But I think because I've seen those ammo can boombox builds before, but no one else had the safety switches where it's like you have to lift up the little red cover and then there's the little silver toggle in there. Yeah. And then I sold it.
I like those.
Yeah.
But it's hard not to just play with it. So like,
yeah, it really is.
Don't make it the like power switch. Make it something that you can toggle over and over.
Like a light up.
Yeah, I have an ammo can sitting in the other room here, specifically for building something like that. I think this one is going to be a portable recharger. So I'm going to be using batteries to charge batteries because it's the future.
Yeah.
And basically I want to be able to charge these in the field. You can quick charge them, pretty quick. Obviously it's not good for their overall lifespan, but you're really pushing them every time you fly, and you don't get that many flights out of one of these packs. So, it's not like you're worried too much about how long it's going to last.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to, just stick a big chunker, 12 volt, sealed lead acid battery in it, and then use that to recharge these things. I think it'll be a good idea. Make it so that, I won't be cutting any holes in it, so when you close the lid, it's actually waterproof. I mean, that to me is the best part about like a Pelican case or an ammo can is that, it's actually sealed when it's closed. Not all ammo cans are made equal, so you definitely want to get one that's in good shape and has a good rubber seal still.
Yeah.
Helix, I just thought of this. Since you're making Ed's computer out of that big ammo can you have? That
Yeah.
was you that was doing it, right?
Yeah, it is.
So if you do his keyboard, that's got
Sure.
like a big metal like sheet on top. You could have that slot into the like little brackets on like that pull-out thing that you were talking about. And you
Ooh,
could, yeah.
ooh, I like that idea.
Ed is a girl.
Are we sure?
Yes.
Oh,
That's still weird
Because
to
the
me.
episode that her father is in, he says that, my daughter or something like that.
oh, right. And there's the title like Princess of something, but whatever. Don't care. Super cool Cyberdeck. Now I just need some like really
I mean,
soggy cardboard.
it's one of my favorites. So I never was able to do the keyboard, but it was probably the very first like Cyberdeck that I ever built when I was in junior high. I just took a beige tower, which I had a collection of them because the industrial neighborhood close by, every Friday they'd throw out all of their computers that they were upgrading, because there was a time period where everyone was moving away from like Pentium 3s to Pentium 4s, and you could just go collect as many towers, as many fully functioning computers with all their data on it, as much as you wanted. So yeah, tower, threw it on its side, just cut up a cardboard box and retaped it and glued it to be the right size, and tore a corner off. I think I just used a Sharpie to draw on all of the markings on it.
Dude, the beige tower days were that was the peak. That was the peak.
I mean, it really was. As soon as the whole RGB gaming laptop thing came out, I mean, I know we all like the lights and stuff, but I hate having flashing lights in my view while I'm trying to work.
Yeah.
I've got my lights on this keyboard. It's like you press it and it does you can't really see it, but the lights kind of shoot out across, and
Yeah.
that's fun. But I turn that off if I'm actually trying to get something done. This is only on when I'm not working.
Yeah, I feel you.
But speaking of beige, I have something over here.
I like my keyboard lights just to stay on and stay white, because I actually, I live in darkness, so it is nice to
Oh
be able to
no.
see what you're typing.
Oh no. Is that
So
Pentium beige spray paint?
no, this is actually Apple fanboy beige.
Ooh.
But I think they actually did coin one of the nicer beiges. Had just a little more color in it. It wasn't more like yellowed white. It was more like just it has a nicer sheen to it. But this one is gloss almond
beige.
Nice.
Yeah, precisely. So this is gloss almond from Rust-Oleum. This one is about as close as you can get without putting any real effort into finding the right color. This is just like you can find this anywhere, and it will be close enough for nostalgia, and no one can tell you it's not the right color because anything from that era has yellowed and changed color anyway. So,
Yeah.
and the photos aren't
Prove
a
it.
lot of good quality photos from then either.
Yeah.
So it's about as good as it needs to be. And then you're not gonna be able to see this at all on camera, but the texture on this piece here of my FPV goggles,
What is that on top?
a little antenna, one of my old ones from like when I used to fly. So I'm just kind of getting back into this. I took a break for.
Is that just a
while.
decoration, or is that like a legit?
Oh no, this is a. What is it called? Let's see. It's not a biquad. This is a cloverleaf antenna for 5.8 gigahertz, which is why it's so small.
Damn.
The 2.4 gigahertz ones are quite large. I've got one of those around here too. But yeah, so this is just a cloverleaf. They're not too hard to make, but they're so cheap to buy now that it's not worth the time to actually try and assemble one. This one is also bought. All of the new ones just come in a little plastic housing so they don't get bent. And before that became a thing, they were just sold as without the housing and to keep the weight down.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty cool. But yeah, so there's a texture on here. I'll have to post a picture later. It kind of looks like that, kind of like the fake leather, the vinyl texture, or like the texture on a IBM Model M keyboard. That texture that's on the sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are nice.
This was my first try at matching that texture, and it's good enough. Like I could probably improve it a tiny bit, but there's no reason to. Like that's it.
How did you do it?
And it even has the sound.
Ooh. Are we
You know?
are we seriously having like keyboard ASMR tonight?
How did you do that texture? Did you just put on like spray adhesive under the paint, or?
Nope,
Or does it come out of the can like that?
it does not.
He's not going to tell us.
I'm not actually.
Boo.
Because as soon as I start trying to explain it, then everyone's going to want to know every little detail, and I'd much rather just put up a single write-up so everyone can find out all at once.
There you go.
I didn't want this one to be beige, but it turns out that this shade of purple and the sun in Arizona don't agree with each other. Actually, the panel even warped from the heat from using it for a couple hours the other day. It like raised up on the side because of the heat, and it did get hot. It was like uncomfortably hot. So I think it's going to end up being beige actually, because that color doesn't really get that hot in the sun.
Are you going to paint the rest of it? Because beige and white do not look good together.
I am going to paint the rest of it, but it's going to be a two-tone.
Yeah, go with the mix up. Like, you know, when you see cars driving down the road and like they've got the wrong colored door, but the rest of the car is all one color. Like, that's the kind of aesthetic that I want on my deck. And by the way, Azura Baker Pantheon, that's quite a name. I know this is TikTok related, but these two guys, one is trying to build Jarvis and the other is trying to make Ultron. Yeah. If anyone was to make Jarvis and Ultron, it would probably be Boot and Blasto.
Wow.
I think for the other color, I'm going to do a kind of a silvery gray like this filament here. Oh, hey. Here's Jake. Jake, come here.
Yay, Jake.
Urgh.
You're just a little troublemaker.
She doesn't know what a keyboard does, but she does like to step on it, which is super annoying.
That's funny.
She has letters to write and business to attend to.
When I'm using a laptop, like in bed, and she'll come up and just kind of like sit on it.
Azura, you totally could make your own Cortana. Like, they have Raspberry Pi projects that like you can.
That's already built into Windows 10.
Well,
Cortana is literally the AI assistant in Windows 10.
Yeah, but I'm saying like he could make one in a Raspberry Pi that won't send his information back to, Bill Gates over your vaccine 5G. Like you could make a tiny little computer that will like control your house from your voice. Now, making Master Chief armor, I don't know. You're gonna have to work on that. I don't know.
Either
what to tell
Boots
you, man.
farting or he's talking to someone.
Talking to someone.
I don't know. Those Smirnoff Ice smashes really get me kind of gassy. So
Well, I have
know about you guys.
classic lean over and mute. It was
I'm a huge fan of the color of that can. By the way, that's like the Baja Blast from Taco Bell color, but
It's actually just something wrong with my camera. This is like bright blue, and it's showing up as green on this camera.
damn it! I was
This
hoping
color-
that someone invented
This
a color.
color doesn't exist.
That's very depressing to me because I really want someone to make canned Baja Blast with liquor in it. I would drink that.
Canned Baja Blast.
I would with liquor. in it.
The Mountain Dew Baja Blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
have
was
a
doing some
can.
monster truck rallies too.
Look,
Cases
I have a
of that.
can here that is green. So let's see what happens with the green can.
Oh, that's like lime green.
and it is that color. So why is the blue being shifted? That is actually kind of funny. It's like the new, blue yellow dress thing for the internet.
Oh my. Yeah. All right.
And every other
Which
color on the
beverage
screen
does
actually
Jake
looks
prefer?
correct too.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Yeah.
Which beverage does Jake prefer?
Water.
That's her endorsement.
You don't give your dog energy drinks?
No, I just wind her up like a little wind-up toy, and she just takes off like a rocket through the house.
Nice.
It's actually pretty funny. Hey, Jake, do you want to go nuts? Do you want to go nuts? You do that like 5 times, and she's like ready to just shoot off and goes and retrieves her favorite toy and doesn't come back with it.
She's adorable.
She is. Little buff ball.
All right,
Look at
guys.
this thing. Look at
I
that
think I
little
gotta
tail.
call it.
Nah, tail.
All right.
Helix.
You gotta take over
Have
for
a
me.
good night.
Take care, guys. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Later.
No, there are no puppies.
And more technical difficulties. There went my headphone amp. Just a moment here. I have no audio. I can't hear what you're saying, but I'll just assume it's something rude.
Butry says there's a reason I don't go to Taco Bell without going to the liquor store first.
I mean, the only reason to go to Taco Bell is to use their bathroom because nobody knows, the smell is all the same, so no one knows if you're shitting in there.
Yep.
Well,
I don't know
he
if-
exited right before the print finished. Let's have a look at this thing.
Yeah, Taco Bell, if you go there drunk, you don't know if you have the whiskey shits or if you have the Taco Bell shits.
A couple little globs here and there. But I think that was from the beginning of the print. Oh yeah,
That's
the
pretty
color is definitely something weird going on with the color grading because this is like the brightest, shiniest purple you could possibly imagine, and that is a much more like maroon kind of deep color. Although I like what it looks like on screen, I just kind of wish it looked this way in real life.
That looks good.
So this is just the center body. I decided not to print the arms in one piece. It would have fit, but then the next time I snap an arm off, I'd have to replace the whole frame. This way, I should be able to replace the arms one at a time. And I want to try a couple different links on the arms too, see how stable it is the more I bring it in. But yeah, nice. Well, that's what I'll be doing next here is getting all of these parts into this part. Let's see, it just kind of, body just kind of sits on. I know I do, but there's so many
This
other
would
better
be like
things.
good content for the YouTube. You could just do a stream and
It could be.
the videos.
But maybe when I actually get this thing completed, then I can just take it back apart and then do a walkthrough of how to put it together. Not like I'd recommend anybody actually does this, but 3D prints aren't great for drones. They tend to break a lot. The carbon fiber frames are just infinitely better, but there isn't one that exists for this particular use case.
Is aluminum too heavy?
You can use aluminum for some parts, but it wouldn't have the strength you need. It would bend, and you could kind of bend it back, but it would never be perfect again. Whereas carbon fiber, it bends until it breaks. So as long as it doesn't break, it returns to exactly the shape that it was in before.
Cool.
I see you're playing with your tweezers there.
You're still full
Well,
screen, so I'm amusing myself.
Oh, I am. I'm not on that tab. I don't usually leave the tab open because I find it unnerving to watch myself on screen with the delay. It makes it rather difficult.
See, I
But
don't
it does
have
seem
an audio
like
delay. Like when your mouth moves, the appropriate sound comes out. So
right. And on my side right now, there's like a 2 second delay, so everything's out of sync, and it just is weird. But I think it's a good time to wrap it up anyway, because I want to build this quad because I'm gonna go fly it in the morning.
fair enough. I'm going to go to sleep. So,
Fair enough.
indeed.
Thanks everyone for for joining. We still got 5 people. Nice. Some of you actually stayed.
What's wrong with you?
I wasn't gonna say it. Come on.
Do you really have nothing better than this to do?
I mean, it's not like anyone watches TV anymore.
True.
But yes,
Anyway.
you know what? I'll have some flight footage for us to play next time. I have a few clips from last week, but it was nothing particularly interesting. And unfortunately, the massive crash it took, it did not record. Not that it was a fault of the drone, because I was recording in the headset and that was being transmitted to it. The headset just decided to not save the file. But maybe next crash, I'll have a good, some good footage of it.
I think next time, don't we have a music set from Player 2 also?
Yeah, we should have that for Sunday. And that is the general idea is, get some music going on Sundays, just more of a hangout.
Did you want to tell people about?
There's
upcoming...
no people here, so it doesn't matter.
That's true.
We have
this show.
A special guest joining us, one of the creators of one of the new Raspberry Pi CM4 I/O boards. That's right. Kind of an exclusive here too, because he's literally done no other shows yet. We've been trying to get him on for a couple weeks now for an interview, but scheduling is difficult with time zones and stuff. So
I don't know what I'm doing.
So he'll be joining us for the Sunday Lazy Sunday, and because of time zones, the Lazy Sunday stream is going to be at 1 p.m. Phoenix. That's right, you 4 people watching, show up at 1 p.m. Phoenix, and we'll have some really cool stuff to talk about.
Isn't the actual name for it Mountain Time?
It varies though. Let's just not confuse the people. It's Phoenix, Arizona time, which is what all of your computers default to when you boot them up the first time. We're all familiar with it. So on that note, we are out of here, and we'll see you in a few days for the Lazy Sunday stream. And we will also have a new music set from Player 2. Later. Good night.
Bye.
Stay safe or don't. Enjoy.